a hypothetical scenario where a president believes that certain individuals within the government are absolutely tyrannical, corrupt, and acting against the Constitution, several factors and grounds would come into play that could justify mass firings. These factors primarily revolve around the themes of legality, national security, public welfare, and constitutional fidelity. Legal grounds. 1. National security threat. If the individuals in question pose an immediate threat to national security or the constitutional order, the president could invoke national security justifications to dismiss them swiftly. The president has broad authority to protect national interests, particularly in emergencies. 2. Misconduct and breach of duty. If there is documented evidence of illegal activity, misconduct, or a breach of their fiduciary duties, the president could dismiss these individuals for cause. Upholding the law and restoring integrity within the administration would be imperative. 3. Executive orders. The president has the authority to issue executive orders that can facilitate the dismissal of individuals within the executive branch, particularly when it involves streamlining government operations or addressing corruption. Constitutional grounds. 1. Upholding the oath of office. The president has sworn to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. If it is believed that certain individuals are undermining democratic principles and engaging in actions counter to the Constitution, the president may argue that dismissing them is necessary to fulfill this oath. 2. Restoring constitutional order. Should the president perceive that certain officials are acting in ways that undermine constitutional governance, for example, abusing power, engaging in corruption, the justification for mass firings could hinge on restoring a government that truly represents the people. Ethical and moral grounds. 1. Public accountability. The notion of accountability to the populace can provide ethical grounds for dismissing corrupt officials. The argument could center on the need to uphold democratic values and restore public trust in the government. A president may justify mass firings as a necessary means to ensure that only those who are committed to serving the public interest remain in office. 2. Quick action for the common good. In the event of an apparent crisis caused by tyrannical actions, a president might argue that swift action is necessary to protect the public's interests. Although ethical considerations must be weighed carefully, the notion that such actions are for the greater good could be highlighted. Political grounds. 1. Public support and mandate. If a significant portion of the electorate expresses support for dismissing corrupt or tyrannical officials, the president could claim a moral and political mandate to act. Engaging with the public, demonstrating that the firings align with their demands, can bolster the justification for such actions. 2. Mitigating risks of despotism. In a situation where the president deems that existing officials are leading the government toward despotism, arguing on the grounds of preventing tyranny could be politically compelling. Making a case for restoring democracy and ensuring government integrity could resonate
widely with the public.
Misconduct and corruption would need to be presented. Transparency in the process and an unwavering commitment to lawful actions would be essential in minimizing backlash and maintaining credibility. 2. Supporting structures. Enabling structures to replace dismissed officials with qualified individuals who share a commitment to constitutional governance can reassure the public that the dismissals serve a purpose beyond mere political maneuvering. While the president may have grounds to fire individuals perceived as tyrannical or corrupt, doing so requires careful attention to legality, ethical considerations, public accountability, and the necessity of maintaining the integrity of government institutions. If positioned within a broader context of restoring democratic values and upholding constitutional principles, such actions may gain justification and support. However, the execution of those dismissals must prioritize due process and transparency to safeguard against potential abuses of power. The legal grounds that permit a president to take action against Government officials, particularly in cases of perceived tyranny or corruption, primarily derive from the powers granted by the Constitution. Below are some key constitutional and legal principles that support such actions, along with references to relevant sections of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. 1. Executive authority. Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution establishes the executive branch and outlines the President's powers. This article grants the President the authority to appoint and remove officials. Appointment power. The President has the power to appoint key federal officials. Article 2, Section 2. This also includes the power to dismiss those who they appointed, which is a fundamental aspect of executive authority, removal power. While the Constitution does not explicitly state the President's power to remove officials, the implied power to remove appointees aligns with the duty to ensure that the executive branch functions effectively. Courts have upheld this principle through precedent, recognizing the President's discretion in managing executive affairs. 2. Chief Executive's duty. The President has the duty to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. Article 2, Section 3. This duty includes ensuring that the laws are administered fairly and that government officials act within the boundaries of legality and morality. Breach of duty. If officials are found to be violating laws, acting corruptly, or failing to uphold their duties, the President may argue that removing these officials is necessary to uphold the rule of law and public trust. 3. National security and emergency powers. In times of national crisis, presidents have historically expanded their powers to take necessary actions for the safety of the nation. Implied powers in emergencies. The President can act decisively during emergencies under the principle of protecting national security. For instance, if officials are perceived as threatening national security, the President can justify abrupt dismissals on these grounds. 4. Accountability to the public. While the Bill of Rights does not address the executive branch's authority directly, the underlying principle of accountability to the people is significant. First Amendment freedom of speech. If widespread public outcry against corrupt practices exists, the President can argue that taking action aligns with the public's demand for accountability, due process, and equal protection. While the Bill of Rights protects individuals from government actions that violate their rights, it does not provide immunity for official misconduct. The President can assert that firing individuals engaged in misconduct serves to uphold the principles of justice and accountability. 5. Oversight and checks and balances. Congressional oversight. Though the President has significant authority, the U.S. political system operates under checks and balances, primarily through Congress. Impeachment powers. Congress holds the power to impeach officials, including the President. Article 2, Section 4, if the President acts to remove individuals suspected of treachery or corruption. This action can serve as a preventative measure against the potential for impeachment proceedings against themselves, ensuring a more accountable administration. 6. Federal law. Many federal laws and regulations support actions against corruption, including the Whistleblower Protection Act and various anti-corruption statutes. If parties expose corruption or misconduct through these channels, the President could act on those findings to terminate involved officials. What are the legal grounds? The legal grounds for a president to dismiss officials perceived as corrupt or tyrannical arise primarily from the powers granted in the Constitution, particularly Article 2, which outlines the President's role and responsibilities. By adhering to the principles of accountability, rule of law, and public welfare, the President can justify mass firings within the constructed framework of legal and constitutional provisions. However, the actions must be grounded in clear evidence, legality, and the overarching aim of protecting constitutional governance to mitigate risks of abuse of power.